Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, which is professional wrestling. Hope you guys had a great Friday. Hope you guys had a fun, safe, awesome Halloween. Happy Halloween, if you're a parent, it's awesome. Maybe you get to raid your kids' candy. If you have a favorite candy, go ahead and let me know inside the chat so we can talk about it. For me, I don't know why. Butterfinger's just a favorite. It's just so great. I got nothing beats Butterfinger. When people either hate Butterfinger. You get a lot of Snickers. You get a lot of Snickers. You get a lot of Milky Way. You get a lot of what is it? Twix. Twix is pretty good. I got to be honest. But is it a candy or is it a cookie? I'm just kidding. We're not gonna start that debate right here. Have it too heavily heated, and then everybody goes home upset because some people think that Twix is a cookie. The other one's like, no, man, it's a candy. And then all of a sudden we go off the air and it's a disaster. I'm just kidding. Moving on. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today, all lined up. We're going to talk about some WWE Smackdown. Of course, we got WWE Smackdown tonight. Then we're going to talk about some TNA and Ring of Honor. We're going to give you some of the review for the episodes on Thursday. They're their Halloween shows. I'm also going to talk about AEW Dynamite. I was not on the air last night. Going trick or treating with my kids. Putting them in Halloween costumes, making sure that they eat something before they go out for a long night where they're walking around and just like, Dad, can we go home? Why did she bring a wagon? And everybody's all bringing a wagon with their kids and stuff like that. And you feel like the worst parent in the world because you're like, damn, I should have thought of that. But, but anyways, no. You know what? In a way, it's kind of a good thing. You kind of get them to walk around, knock on the door, socialize with the, people that who answer the door and give them candy. Be like, oh, say trick or treat. Thank you. Happy Halloween. Tires them out, then they go to bed early, so you get to, crash out early. So it's a nice excuse to kind of go on after that. And then after Dynamite, we're going to talk about Chris Bey and his neck injury, obviously on the taping on TNA on, I think it was Thursday. No, I think it was the 27th. I think it was the 27th in Detroit, Michigan. He had a nasty fall, neck injury, and it's just, it looked bad. It looked really, really bad. And you know, neck surgery is always, you basically think you're going to lose your career. You basically think it's all over. You can't wrestle anymore, but then sometimes you really have to take it easy because you're not too sure because being paralyzed and going out there and trying to make your wrestling career go out again, it's not easy. So we're going to talk about the injury. We're going to talk about Chris Bey's response on on social media, basically saying how this is the first step within a very, very, very long journey, and it is. And it's very, very long. Look at Edge, look at Big E, who's still not wrestling. And it's hard. It's hard. It's a very, in terms of neck injuries, it's in terms of a wrestling career, it could be a killer. And then our fifth and final segment, we're going to talk about WWE Crown Jewel. It's going to be live on Saturday. Can't wait to watch it. Obviously, it's going to be when I'm at work, which sucks. So I'm going to, obviously I'll watch it when I come home. And I don't get to check Instagram, Twitter, or like anything like that because I don't want to, I don't want to hear anything of it. I just ultimately I just wanted to be shocking, unpredictable. That's as a wrestling fan, that's what I ultimately yearn for. So let's go ahead and dig on into the subject matter. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to go ahead at the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Also hit up that super chat whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling here at the GSMC Sports Network. We are all ears, 1,010%. So go ahead and feel open. If you're dying to get something off your chest or dying to share something, here at the show, we respect all opinions. So we can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. This show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy and drop your thoughts inside that box. And if you really, 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 really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets talked about on air, maybe even debated about if it's a hot, juicy subject, then why not use that super chat? It's $1, go ahead and hit that $sign below the chat box. Whatever you guys put inside that box is going to be guaranteed to be featured and talked about on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel, the GSMC Sports Network. It gets these podcasters more of a reason to, go live and give you guys the sports content that you guys love so dang much. And, we're all passionate about sports. We all just, fixate our lives. For me, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, in terms of everything like that, it's just, it's a nice little escape from all the cruddy stuff that's happening around the world. And you're like, man, sometimes you just want to take a break from, the Fox 11 news at 10, where some guy like, I don't know, it's hard. Sports has definitely been a huge like uplifting moment in a lot of people's lives. That's why it's important. That's the reason why a lot of fans stay true to their colors. You know what I mean? So, even in the world of professional wrestling, wrestling has been, it's been in my family for years. I remember watching wrestling with my parents and watching, Raw and Nitro and stuff like that. But of course, time does move on, and it's just something cool to kind of think about, something to talk about. I've been a fan my whole life, so it's kind of cool. So, whether, first and foremost, thank you in advance. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here on the GSMC Sports Network, daily. So, thank you guys for your support. So, let's keep this, let's get this party started. Let's keep this conversation lively, making sure you guys send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome, and together we will make sure this podcast is, bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, if the super chat not your thing, hit up the gsmcpodcast.net. Hit up the tips and donations link. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Just to remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. But of course, in terms of talking sports, it's inevitable. Criticisms and disagreements are bound to happen. It does not matter. Go ahead and hit it up inside that chat. We can definitely talk about it. So yeah, make sure you guys hit it up. Be a part of the show. It's going to be a good one. All right, so our first segment, we're going to talk about some WWE Smackdown. It's going to be live tonight in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. I, for one, can't wait to watch that. I feel like, and I don't know if this might be, might be, what is the word? Not coincidental. That's not the word. Spiritual? No, no, it's not the word. Dang it. I don't know why, but I feel like every single time WWE is hosting events in the Barclays Center, maybe superstitious, I feel like it's good. I feel like it's really, really good. The fans in New York are obviously, you know, very prominent. They love the professional wrestling, especially before a pay-per-view. This is obviously the go home show before WWE Crown Jewel. And there should be a lot of shocking factors. Maybe not per se taking, happening tonight, maybe, happening tomorrow night, but just a lot of layups. Like, you're waiting for that alley oop, you have the pass, and at the end of the day, the storyline writers in WWE have to dunk it home and have to be, make sense in the world of professional wrestling. So, it's gonna be pretty dang awesome. Tonight we have Randy Orton teaming up with the WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes, taking on Imperium, the team of the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Gunther, and also Ludvig Kaiser, the rising star of a young WWE. Um, you know, I feel like this match is going to be great. I feel like there's probably going to be some KO action inside this match. Maybe perhaps there's speculation, kind of surrounding maybe Goldberg coming around, and they said, I read an article, I think it was on Fightful, I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that, but it was Goldberg's plans in WWE is extremely, it's going to be shocking. It's going to be super shocking. So it could be good. It all depends how they write it. But Goldberg making it back to the WWE kind of ultimately kind of scares me, because I'm like, usually when this guy's in any kind of spot, he's in a smash match where he wins. I feel like, back in time, when he got that win over the Fiend, when he got that win over Kevin Owens, dethroning him as the WWE Universal Champion, you kind of stunned their push. Like, you know what I mean? You kind of have it, you kind of got it to a screeching halt. I feel like if Goldberg comes around, you kind of have to treat him like a John Cena or like a Kurt Angle, where he's here to like promote younger talents now. Like his time's already done. It's you can say goodbye, you know. So and Goldberg's not really. he doesn't really have the reputation of being like this top tier wrestling guy. Like I can't confidently say to someone's face, I was like, oh yeah, Goldberg was an amazing wrestler. Goldberg was cool. He was great. Like I thought he was, thought he was, new and edgy and hip and stuff like that. But as a wrestler inside the ring, in his matches never really were, I don't know. It just wasn't good. I didn't like it. So, we have that happening tonight. Nia Jax and Liv Morgan will come face to face, and this is something that actually, I'm looking forward to see how these two women kind of go at it. My thought is you have to have Tiffany Stratton cash in against Nia Jax at WWE Crown Jewel. That is the only thing that makes sense. If she cashes in against Liv Morgan, although I feel like Liv Morgan, you have Rhea Ripley written off TV with her orbital, right eye fracture. She's expected to be out like couple of months. So people think that she's going to be out the rest of the year. So that leaves Liv Morgan, open for storyline. So that's I feel like you shouldn't really touch that in terms of WWE writers. The only thing that makes sense, and it sucks because Nia Jax, she had a nice little run and she got the title back in SummerSlam. I thought that was pretty badass. I thought that was cool. She had a good run. I kind of thought she was going to have more of a dominant reign. But Tiffany Stratton is just going to be pushed right now. She's getting pushed by WWE as a babyface. Fans are starting to get behind her. I like her as a babyface. And on Raw, the champion is a heel, Liv Morgan, obviously. And on SmackDown, you can have this not really a baby face, kind of like this, you like me or you don't like me. Obviously I feel like Bayley's gonna challenge her, and then you have Naomi. And because if Tiffany Stratton does not successfully cash in against Nia Jax, if Nia Jax knocks down Tiffany Stratton's briefcase, then she's gonna be upset. She's gonna be pissed about Tiffany Stratton trying to cash in. You were my so-called, friend, this and that, and the other. And then every single week on SmackDown, you're just going to see Nia Jax in this smash spot after smash spot after smash spot, and absolutely just demolish Tiffany Stratton, just eradicating her, Tiffany Stratton's, career push. So I feel like it makes sense. Something's got to give. I feel like tonight you're going to see, partially like maybe like a foreshadow of for it's going to be the last straw. This tonight's going to be the last straw for Tiffany Stratton. Nia Jax is probably going to say something disrespectful or kind of grab her by the throat once again. And then it's just going to be, after that, it's kind of like Tiffany Stratton's going to be like, all right, I know what I must do because this, this isn't working out for me. I feel disrespected. I have more talent than this, and I got to stand up for myself. So, expect something like that to happen tonight. Next match, we have Jade Cargill. I've seen, I was reading a couple of, previews of WWE Smackdown. I'm seeing Jade, I'm seeing Bianca. I feel like Bianca's going to take on Io Sky, Piper Niven and Last Legend in a fatal four-way match before their, four-way tag team match coming at WWE Crown Jewel for those women tag team championships. Obviously coming out of this one, I see Bianca building up momentum. I honestly don't think that they're going to lose the titles tonight, or I'm sorry, tomorrow. To be brutally honest, although Last Legend of NXT has been absolutely phenomenal. She's been absolutely impressive. Her physicality inside the ring is just it's amazing. It's crazy what she does inside that ring. So should be badass. Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, yeah, don't really want to call it like a joke tag team, but to be honest, it's kind of like you have the always amazing, sensational Chelsea Green and her personality, always getting under the skin of all the other competitors, and then you have her muscle Piper Niven, and like in an alternate universe in terms of the world of professional wrestling, maybe that could work. But I've been a fan of professional wrestling my whole life, and it's just like this is not going to work. It's more or less just kind of like for the show. You have two amazing wrestlers that definitely do have the potential to kind of be bigger than they actually are. But right now, it's not their time. It's not their time. Chelsea Green she's great. Piper Niven is great as well. So I don't know. And Io Sky, Kyrie Sane, Damage Control. they might have a shot. I give them, I'm going to give them 35%. I'm going to give them 35% of winning, at WWE Crown Jewel. But I don't know. I don't see any reasons why you would take the titles off of Bianca, why you would take the titles off of her and Jade. Something that's kind of, an unwritten rule in professional wrestling. If you want the champion defending the titles to not look weak or weaken their push or necessarily seem like they're not title contenders or like, oh, they just won the belt just to kind of, just to kind of save face in front of the, in front of SmackDown, on Raw and stuff like that. Like, hey, let's put the titles on these two amazing singles wrestlers. You book them in fatal four ways. You book them in triple threat matches. Like, something's got to give. And, last time they lost their WWE Women's World Championships was in a triple threat match, and they didn't, they never got pinned. So, maybe that might tell the story again on Saturday, but as of right now, I don't really see, as of tonight, Jade or Bianca, losing. Jey Uso seeks an apology from Roman Reigns tonight. Obviously, when SmackDown went off the air last week, you saw them, kind of do the We the Ones once again, which is strangely has not, it hasn't really been talked about on social media and stuff like that. So, it's kind of crazy. Will we see Sami Zayn? Will we see Sami Zayn's, stance heading toward a WWE Crown Jewel main event match with, the 3-on-3? This is ultimately going to test if Sami Zayn is going to join, and I don't like it. Maybe he might find his way into Solo Sikoa's new young bloodline, perhaps, or you might see him prove to Jey, prove to Jimmy, prove to Roman that he's actually, the honorary Uso. He's part of the family. So I feel like what's going to be ultimately building up tonight, and that's going to be portrayed on WWE Crown Jewel. And Sami Zayn, he's got to come out tonight. He's got to come out on SmackDown. He has to say a few words. Obviously, you saw a heated exchange last Monday night on Raw between him, Jey. Jey, at the end of the promo said, "You're not family, Uso." And Sami Zayn, after everything he's done for Jey Uso, the way he's watched his back and the way he's watched the back of the Bloodline before he was ultimately kicked out for not, hitting a chair shot on his, friend Kevin Owens. And, that just leaves fans pondering, like, well, who's Sammy going to choose? Because as of right now, he definitely has legitimate reasons of, being like, hey, Jimmy J, all right, if that's how you feel. He did get along with Solo Sikoa, did get along with Solo Sikoa in the Bloodline before, Roman Reigns, got Sammy kicked out. But, it should be interesting. Should be interesting to find out what's going to happen tonight. Street Profits taking on Pretty Deadly. We got Bayley and Naomi taking on Candice LeRae, Indi, Hartwell. Once again, I want to see Candice LeRae flaunting her WWE Women's Speed Championship. For her not having the belt on SmackDown or on Raw, where she's being, placed in front of a camera, ultimately kind of, I feel like, diminishes the value of the belt. It's the inaugural WWE Women's Speed Championship. So, I don't get it. If you're introducing like this version of a mid-card women's title, and you're not going to promote it, you're not going to have her wear the belt and like wear it proudly, and be in this presence like, hey, dude, I'm a champion too. So if you're not going to do that, then obviously I'm not going to give a crap about WWE Speed, in the women's or the men's. Like, you know what I mean? Why should I if you're not ultimately promoting or if you're not actively having the champion kind of, hold themselves on this platter, hold them on this pedestal, hold themselves very high as as a champion, as like if, the WWE champion Cody Rhodes, the Intercontinental champion, it's, I don't know, right? I want to see something tonight. I think Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell are a great tag team. But I don't know. Should be interesting to find out. What's next for the Motor City Machine Guns? The new WWE Tag Team Champions are set to speak tonight. Also, will Adam Pearce confront Nick Aldis about the Bloodline coming to WWE Monday Night Raw, causing havoc? So it should be interesting to find out when if they have a confrontation tonight. All right, guys, so hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our second segment. We got some TNA Ring of Honor reviews, so do not go anywhere. We will be right back. So, yeah, don't go.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time here on the GSMC Sports Network. Talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring. We also talk about, superstar news, maybe inactive statuses, maybe perhaps, injury updates. Maybe perhaps we talk about superstar signings and contract negotiations and new signings, from WWE to AEW to NXT to New Japan Professional Wrestling to Stardom to the GCW. We talk about everything in terms of the world of professional wrestling here on this podcast. So make sure you guys, tune in. All right, to kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick, we had our WWE Smackdown talk, and now we're going to talk about some TNA and also also some Ring of Honor. But first, we have a chat from my man Anthony Mazzano. Hope you had a great Halloween, my friend. Someone just wrote an article on Bleacher Report talking about the pros and cons of the WWE ID program, and they said that people were skeptical that this might end up doing the current independent circuit what Vince did to the territories in the 80s and the 90s. I agree. I do agree. I do feel like, obviously in modern day times, the world of wrestling is completely different under this, digital era. Everybody has their own, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram where they can possibly kind of promote their own word. You don't necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm going to run to the WWE because they get, the most television time, which they, and all in all they do. But now you have shows on YouTube. Now you have, wrestling promotions like the NWA and WWE Speed, having their shows on their Twitter/X account. So, I personally, I do agree with you. I do agree with you that is kind of, that is kind of a little sketchy. That is a little sketchy because, Vince McMahon, he did take a lot of wrestlers. I know, like during the documentary, he was talking about how, the evil billionaire Ted Turner, he was taking my superstars like Lex Luger and Batman, Hitman, like, I mean, there are some similarities. And to be honest, I do agree with you. And I necessarily don't really like it, but I'm hoping that under the Triple H Paul Levesque era with this collaboration, with NXT and TNA, that maybe, it might open the door and maybe not close the doors to like potentially having like a mesh spot with like AEW would be pretty badass. Well, although I feel like that would be like a ultimate, like I don't know, that I feel like that would never really happen, but that'd be so cool. Oh my god. You know, or Ring of Honor or New Japan Professional Wrestling or the CMLL, the GCW. There's a lot of I more or less feel like, they're opening up the territory to be like, hey, if you want to come out and be in WWE, you can possibly be a superstar, but if you're not, if you don't, it's cool if you want to take another, career path. But, it's giving professional wrestlers a chance to ultimately showcase their skills, ultimately, find a home, maybe perhaps, although WWE has been overall in the wrestling promotions, like kind of been viewed as this like, prestigious kind of out, kind of the kind of like the major leagues in sort of wrestling, and everywhere else is kind of like minors and stuff like that. So this might be a way for Triple H to like find the next, possible superstar, because for the longest time, if you constantly promote, older, aging superstars, then you might not be able to kind of find a young guy who could, be that next person that could promote your generation. And, kind of thinking about what's happening on Raw and SmackDown right now, on SmackDown, who are the real main event guys. Dwayne the Rock Johnson has to come back to WWE just to like make the main event picture a little more prestigious. Um, you have Cody Rhodes, you have Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa. No, he's a joke. On SmackDown, that's about it. That's why I feel like re-signing Bobby Lashley would have been a great idea. But Kevin Owens, he's there, but I ultimately feel like he's like a glorified mid Carter. And obviously, that's my opinion, 1,010%. Because during his reign as a Universal Champion, I feel like he never really got that push that he ultimately deserved. He lost to Goldberg, for Christ's sakes. And then, Randy Orton, obviously Randy Orton's always going to be it's going to be an oldie but goodie, but I feel like his tactics, I feel like his storyline of always being the apex predator and, turning his back on people and and RKOing people. I feel like at this point, and then you look at some of the wrestlers from NXT, and now that NXT is kind of its own entity and not really the developmental territory for SmackDown or Raw. So I feel like maybe that's the reason why they could possibly be doing it, because NXT is kind of going to be its own, kind of going to be its own little thing. Anthony Mazzano also said, up and coming guys on the independent circuit, get a bigger platform and get better funding for their training. That's true as well. That's a great point. And they actually clarified this is wrestling school have a contract that sends their students to the training facility in Orlando. See, that's all in all, I feel like that's great. That's great for professional wrestling. I feel like it's at this point where, I don't think Triple H is going out there, or WWE for that matter, or TKO is going to be like, you know what, we're trying to steal superstars. It wasn't like how it was back in the day with Vince. And then even with Vince, he was like, you know what? According to his words, you know what I mean? He was like, I never went out there and I, wanted to steal talent. I simply gave people the opportunity of, wrestling for a big firm, like a promotion like WWE, like, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're like, all right, well, you never really had the confidence to put on this amazing show that was WrestleMania 1 without knowing that, you were going to lock down these guys. Because why would you want to showcase these guys at a main event like WrestleMania and be like, all right, now you guys can go ahead and run back to your territories. Thank you so much for, tuning into the, WWE. It's like you weren't going to have those guys if you weren't going to eventually like, sign them up. So, obviously there's there's some, some stuff behind that, because they just recently revealed some of the schools that are signed up the Nightmare Factory reality of a wrestling school from Booker T's, professional wrestling promotion academy, the Black and Breathe, Seth Rollins, what Booker T's doing with his wrestling promotion. I like it. I know that, Azila Fatu also as well is he's doing wonders in that promotion. He's winning titles, and he's being trained up to eventually make his way into this Bloodline storyline. He might be the last one to ultimately, I feel like I'm waiting for Hikuleo any moment now. I feel like he could, shock the world. Maybe he's going to be at Crown Jewel. I'm not too sure. Maybe you have Sami Zayn come out and kind of even the odds. And then Hikuleo comes and he's like, oh, he's part of Solo Sikoa. And then at that point, Jimmy and Jey are like, you know what? Sammy is family. Sammy's family. We're gonna need him against this tall, over 6 foot guy. That's gonna be representing the young bloodline. So the Crown Jewel is gonna be great. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen at Crown Jewel. Obviously, in terms of the territories and WWE, the independent wrestling circuit program. I feel like it's just going to be great. It's going to be great for professional wrestlers. I don't want to necessarily, depict it as something, negative. Like I said, I'm not too sure if that is possible anymore because of wrestling promotions, streaming stuff online. Necessarily they don't need to compete like Ted Turner was going head to head with WWE, with Monday Night Nitro, Monday Night Raw, and you're like, we're fighting for television time. Nowadays people don't even have cable. And it's crazy. It's a crazy world we live in right now. But I definitely think it's pretty cool. Having it compared to the territories back in the 80s and 90s, I gotta be honest, I thought that I saw the moment I saw the press release, I was like, holy crap. I was like, because I recently watched the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix, docuseries, and I was like, oh my God, this seems like, oh my, is this deja vu, dude? Like, I don't know. It was just, it was interesting, but I don't know. Should be crazy. I'm interested to find out new styles of professional wrestling. I talked about it, about with my NXT review, how Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, and Zarya, ever since they made their way into WWE, inside the ring, their skill set, the way they dictate and like, kind of control the tempo within the squared circle in their matches, it's just different, and it's and it's exciting. It's pretty cool. I definitely love that 1,010%. You got a chat from my man. I think the guy you just said joined Solo Sikoa in his group. I think so too. I feel like that would make the most sense. Yeah, I agree with you. It's extremely hard, specifically in the United States, to do that anymore because of the antitrust laws. I don't think WWE can force independent companies out of business. Yeah, you're right. That's true. And at the end of the day, I kind of like that because sometimes you do have wrestlers that and I don't want to seem like I'm like this hard up wrestling fan that's like, oh, that guy's trash or something like that. Sometimes it does take wrestlers to, when they are in the WWE, like look at what happened with Drew McIntyre, look at what happened with Cody Rhodes. They go to the independent wrestling circuit and they're just complete badasses, like Zack Ryder and Matt Cardona. They're just complete badasses. They establish themselves. They get their confidence up within the independent wrestling circuits, and the passion that the fans have is amazing. I love that. And they eventually make it to Ring of Honor. They basically make it to the AEW or the WWE. So I don't know. I just I feel like that's super awesome. I would love to see some independent wrestling wrestlers kind of come out of their shell a little bit. Absolutely on fire. Absolutely with confidence in themselves. And obviously when it's all good, you're great on any wrestling promotion you land on, even if it's not WWE. For Stephanie, do you think it's going to be harder for her to cross over to non Spanish speaking fans for WWE? Because she doesn't really speak good English. Santos was the exception. He grew up in Texas. I read a report that that's the reason why Shawn Michaels, the CEO of NXT, is kind of taking his time with Julia and Stephanie. And yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Me myself, I know a little bit of Spanish, but then sometimes, once when I'm in this predicament where I'm like, we're nowadays in the world of wrestling and just in the world, just in the United States, it's crazy. Um, this world is becoming more diverse, and I feel ultimately that's what's going to ultimately make it better. You kind of have to establish kind of an understanding. That you kind of have to have this competence, or competence to ambiguity, and you're like, what, just because it's seems foreign to me doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or negative, or it's going to cost the company any harm. Stephanie, the way she had her, she's wrestled a couple I think two matches in WWE, and then I've just been blown away. I've just been blown away. I think she's great. Same with Julia. I feel like they belonged, in a high promotion set. I'm not going to say necessarily WWE, because honestly, they can go absolutely anywhere and shine, and it'd be pretty badass. But she's gonna learn. She's gonna be great, and I think she's ultimately going to teach others as well how to become better wrestlers. And all in all, we all can learn from each other. Different cultures is good. Learning different values and stuff like that. That's ultimately what being a human being is all about. You don't want to come in here and just absorb like, you have to do this, you have to do that. Kind of like an Americanization of it all. So you necessarily, the more diverse a culture could, or a country could be, I feel like it's, it's better. It's cool. That finisher she did during the match at Halloween Havoc was nuts. Yeah, no, I did love her finishing maneuver. I thought it was great. Something like, well, once again, just something new and innovative and something just different. And as a WWE fan, my whole entire life, I'm like, dude, I've never in my life kind of seen something like that. So I was like, dude, this is pretty badass. This is cool. I want to see more of that. I feel like Stephanie Vaquer is going to be a huge star, and I feel like we're lucky to see her on NXT every Tuesday night, and there's no shadow of a doubt that she's going to be a champion, one day. All right, rapidly going over some Impact. Obviously on Halloween, you had PCO come out wishing everybody a happy Halloween with like a maniacal with the maniacal, kind of laughter and stuff like that. You had Joe Henry, his music hit, and obviously it was a bootleg version. It was Frankie Kazarian came out, and it was. I gotta be honest, it was funny. It's you have that. That's the reason why Joe Henry's popular. That's the reason why he makes a living because he's a musical artist, also a wrestling. He's a great wrestler, and also he's all part of the entertainment industry. And it was it was kind of crazy. Hendry, although he sensed a conspiracy between Kaz, JBL, and Nick Nemeth that screwed him out of the TNA World Championship, I think that, is a little bit too much. I feel like Nick Nemeth is ultimately pretty genuine. JBL right now, I feel like he has his own, he's kind of like nobody knows what he's going to do next. And, he's that manager that I ultimately feel, well, maybe, he's medically cleared to come back into the ring. Maybe we have a JBL return, although that's, kind of, maybe a couple of matches, but, I don't know, maybe him as as like a heel manager. That's money right there. That's a money in the bank. I definitely would think that'd be pretty badass. First Class defeated the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. They tried to take that out, AJ Francis and Casey Navarro, but it just wasn't good enough. The Rascals have actually been kind of declining ever since you had Wesley defeat Zachary Wentz at WWE NXT. Shoot, I think it was No Mercy. I think it was No Mercy they had there. Their last, no, it wasn't last man standing match. I think it was just like a hardcore match or whatever. But it was, it was pretty cool. Eric Young, Steve Macklin, and Jonathan Grisham defeated Josh Alexander and the Good Hands. Ash by Elegance defeated Danny Luna of Spitfire. Oh God, I hope that's not a preview of them losing the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship because I love them. I love Spitfire. I feel like they're pretty awesome. Li Yang Lee defeated Maggie Moore and obviously the return of Savannah Evans. We saw Eddie Edwards and Johnny Dango Curtis defeat Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry, but then you saw that mishap that Hendry accidentally hit Nemeth with the clothesline and he apologized, but Nemeth was heated and walked out to close the show. All in all, great episode of TNA Impact on a freaking Halloween, man. That's pretty badass. All right, let's go over some Ring of Honor. Some Ring of Honor results. We had JD Drake and Beef defeating Peter Avalon and Preston Vance via pinfall. Johnny TV gets back into the win column again, defeating Dion Rushman. Gates of Agony defeated CSJ and Dave Dutra via pinfall. You had Reina Isis defeat Lady Frost. Lady Frost, getting back into that loss column kind of sucks. Pure Rules match, we had Matt Taven defeat Aaron Solo. We saw the Righteous defeat Solomon Tupu and Jay Marston. Tomohiro Ishii defeated Josh Woods. Ishii is, set to take on. He was kind of, going to attack the learning tree, but I feel like he's going to be the next one, the conglomeration to attack. I feel like that'd be badass. Top Flight and Action and Jeddah with Leo Rush and Layla Gray defeated Dion Leon, J.A. Jossie, Drip Jordy via pinfall. Ring of Honor throwback, we saw Jay Lethal defeat Curryman. Billy Starks defeats Blair, Onyx. Billy Starks, I feel like she's going to be the next one to take on Athena. I don't know if she's going to be the one to dethrone her. That's a big ass maybe right there. So I'm not going to get too much into that. Shane Taylor Promotions, the Infantry, and defeated SAP and Helico and Serpentico. Via the boot camp on Angelico. That's crazy. Diamante defeats Aminata Belmont via pinfall. Dark Order defeated the Iron Savages. Commander defeats Arya Davari. And then the Ring of Honor Women's Champion Halloween Ring of Horror match, Athena with Lexi there defeats Abaddon. And Abaddon was not an easy win. So, once again, Athena proving that she's absolutely the best of the best. Obviously, one of my favorite Ring of Honor. She was, Ember Moon on NXT, and I loved her on WWE. But her on Ring of Honor, I feel like she's, totally kicking ass. I feel like it's pretty awesome. All right, guys. So hey, do not go anywhere. We're gonna jump on into our third segment, some AEW Dynamite review when we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside the ring, superstar news updates and active statuses and injury updates. We talk about contract negotiations. We talk about new signings. We talk about, them going back and forth, trying to agree on a contract. I can't negotiations. Damn it! I was gonna say that. But we talk about promotions from WWE to AEW. Basically, if it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show Monday through Friday. So make sure you guys tune into that. All right, so can I reflect on what we talked about real quick? We had our WWE Smackdown preview, and then we talked about TNA Ring of Honor. We recently we touched on it. Sorry, excuse me, a little bit, but overall we were just, talking to my man Anthony Mazzano there, talking some good old fashioned some wrestling, which was pretty great. I loved it. It's pretty cool. All right, so now we're gonna talk about some AEW Dynamite. Obviously, we are on the road to AEW Full Gear happening November 23rd. I think they were live in Cleveland. And it was pretty good all in all. I got to be honest, I thought it was great. You saw the Orange Cassidy promo. When he came out at first, I got to be honest, he was like, basically like, hey, stop it, don't cheer for me kind of thing. But then he kind of opened up a little bit and he was like, you know what? Like, I ultimately thought he was going to kind of turn bad. And I don't know. I could be tripping. I don't want to see freshly squeezed, join John Moxley and his, band of cretins. I'm just kidding, no. He's been the best of the best that AEW has to offer ever since AEW started airing. So, Orange Cassidy, although I do not think he's, he has a snowball's chance to win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, it's going to make for a pretty interesting, come up, because then you're going to have, Orange Cassidy, the conglomeration. You're going to have, Mark Briscoe inside it. You're going to have Kyle O'Reilly, Tomohiro Ishii, maybe, the ties with Kyle O'Reilly. Maybe you might have the Undisputed Kingdom, watching his back. And, it seems like this, John Moxley formed faction it's them taking over AEW. They are the new AEW, kind of like where you saw with WCW with the NWO. They had to start um, having people taking on the NWO. How it was WCW against the NWO. So now you're gonna have all Elite Wrestling going up against this faction that John Moxley, which totally overshadowed this whole Elite EVP kind of thing. So kind of crazy, but I think it's could be pretty cool. Got a chat from my man Logan James. Hope you had a great Halloween week, my man. Hope you have a great weekend. Hot take: Tiffany Stratton cashes in on Liv Morgan because Rhea Ripley's injury changes all the storylines. That's true. I feel like that could be true. I feel like the power, and I feel like the reason why Liv Morgan is being the face of the women's division on Monday Night Raw is because she has the title. She's being portrayed as this heel where she's dangling it over the rest of the locker room, be like, "Come at me, bro. Come try to fight me." And then you have Dirty Dom, and of course you have the whole Judgment Day and Raquel Rodriguez watching her back. I ultimately feel like Tiffany Stratton will cash in on Nia Jax. It just makes sense. It just seems like she's going to stay on SmackDown. And then on Raw, I do feel like it is, like you said, going to change, a lot of storylines. It's going to open things up for a lot of, women main eventers on Monday Night Raw. Asuka is set to come back. She's medically cleared. Also, Alexa Bliss is, trying to make her way inside the ring. Her and Liv Morgan, kind of the same size, would have a pretty badass, have a pretty badass feud. I feel like that'd be, pretty cool, pretty cool. It just, it definitely opens up Monday Night Raw to like bigger and better storylines. I didn't really Rhea Ripley, she lost a couple of times. She lost her shots at the title, which would mean like, now she has to work her way all the way up to the bottom. But being brutally honest, who could really step over the Eradicator? Rhea Ripley's so dominant. She's so, her presence inside the ring is uncanny. She's the best of the best, and she's the future of WWE. So her getting injured, kind of taking this hiatus, it's skeptical, and a lot of people are kind of conspiracy theorizing that she re-injured her elbow once again. So then now they're kind of, instead of her coming out and be like, "I'm going to be gone for like," because that would totally like diminish her character. But for her getting jumped in the back of on NXT Halloween Havoc, or it just makes sense, and it seems like it's no, not one. It wasn't Halloween Havoc. It was the episode after, but it just it makes sense. Io Sky and Kyrie saying in the to the world, to the picture of the world heavyweight women's championship. I agree with that. I would like to see Io Sky contend. And then maybe somewhere down the line, you see a match between her and Asuka would be pretty badass. I would love to see that. But Liv Morgan has this title on lock. Like it's the only storyline that, in terms of her being relevant on Monday Night Raw, because she just signed a 5-year contract. I don't know if the teeth of the meat of the meeting there was like, we're gonna sign you for 5 years, and then we're gonna have you drop the title to Tiffany Stratton. Uh, I for that happening, Tiffany on Monday Night Raw would open up storylines as well. So it's not like it's an absolute no, because WWE has had some unpredictability, some shocking factors recently under the Triple H Paul Levesque era. And in the women's division, I feel like kind of is like there's a lack thereof of shock, because I feel like you have the storyline on SmackDown with Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and then Bayley and Nia and Naomi are the good guys. And on Raw, Liv Morgan's just running rampant, with Dirty Dom and Raquel Rodriguez, and the Judgment Day. Maybe you could possibly see the demise of the Judgment Day. Maybe this is exactly what WWE Raw needs to happen, because the storyline with the Judgment Day has been, with lack of a better word, it's dying. It doesn't make any sense anymore. What's Carlito gonna do? JD McDonough. The only star out of that is Finn Balor. So something, I don't know what's gonna happen. But Raquel Rodriguez just recently made her debut, or made her return in WWE. So maybe that's the reason why I'm kind of like, maybe they might not take the championship off of Liv because, in reality, then it's going to be linked to Raquel Rodriguez, because if she loses it, then, Liv challenges, Tiffany in her rematch clause, and then you'd have Raquel help her win the title back. It's like, okay, so, like the men's WWE, like the men's briefcase and Money in the Bank, it was wasted, like Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. So I feel like this Tiffany Stratton winning the Money in the Bank, I feel like this is ultimately going to take her to the top in terms of her career. And I might be, too much of on a Tiffany Stratton high here, but I definitely see her being the champion coming, come WrestleMania 41. They have plans. I guess they're planning to have Charlotte Flair come back and feud with Nia Jax first, and then eventually fight Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania 41. That's, quote unquote, the plan. Obviously, that's been circulated around the wrestling news media, which it could be great. It could definitely be 1,010%. It could be, it could go, it could work out. So, I don't know. Back to AEW, we had Adam Cole taking on Buddy Matthews. I loved this match. I thought it was great. Overall, this show, was pretty badass. I thought it was great. AEW getting back on the map of having an amazing Dynamite. Fright Night was pretty cool. I love that Adam Cole, had that, he was able to ultimately defeat Buddy Matthews, of House of Black. And then at the end, then you saw the screen turn pitch black, and then you saw Malachi, the leader of the faction, come out, and shaking the hands of Adam Cole. And then you kind of have him with the promo with the Undisputed Kingdom. So now they are back together as well. I know it's just overall, I thought it was a great episode. That's really all I can really say. There was a lot of top moments, though. You saw, Kyle Fletcher that tried calling out Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay didn't show up. You saw John Moxley try to attack Orange Cassidy once again, and then the main event. Well, that should have made basically been the main event. Well, we'll get into that a little later. We had Chris Jericho obviously talking in terms of the learning tree, becoming the new champion. Say he's going to take Ring of Honor to the next level. We saw Chris Statlander picking up a huge victory against Camille, obviously attacked by the TBS champion and also the New Japan Professional Wrestling Strong Women's Champion Mercedes Moné. And I thought it was good. They wanted Chris Statlander to come back into this babyface, presence, and she did, and it was ultimately it was pretty badass. And you saw Swerve Strickland defeat Shelton Benjamin of the Hurt Syndicate. But then, of course, you saw the ultimate anticipation. You saw Bobby Lashley make his debut inside AEW, and it was stellar. It was, ultimately it was the best way to kind of have this, happen. You know, um, I personally thought it would have been great for Swerve Strickland to become like a little bit, with the Hurt Syndicate. I thought that would be pretty badass because it seems like Swerve Strickland continues to lose on AEW because he doesn't have a faction. So I was like, all right, this would be a nice way for him to team up with some amazing dudes. That is MVP, that is Bobby Lashley, it is Shelton Benjamin. Just the Lashley, Benjamin, and Swerve Strickland. Three guys that I love. I love those guys in terms of wrestling. That's totally badass. And lastly, we're going to talk about is the AEW World Tag Team Championships were won by Private Party. We're able to pick up the victory. Finally, at the end of the match, you saw an uncharacteristic congratulations by the Young Bucks, leaving just a lot of wrestling fans a little confused. You have Kenny Omega coming back and this whole elite thing. Then you had Jack Perry being confronted by Daniel Garcia, where Daniel Garcia was like manhandling. I got to be honest, I thought that was pretty dope. And then you saw Okada there as well, and they were shredding documents. And I don't know exactly what they're doing. I don't know this whole angle, but ultimately the Young Bucks, they need a reboot. They need to reboot this storyline, in my opinion, of course. Without Kenny Omega there, he got injured. Didn't really make sense. And maybe that's something that they didn't really take in consideration on that plate. They were kind of like, okay, now we just kind of have to wing it. Because with Kenny Omega out, he was probably going to be a main piece in the Young Bucks and Jack Perry and Okada in New Japan Professional Wrestling because, Okada and Omega are, they were rivalries. They have a bunch of amazing matches rated like over 5 stars by Dave Meltzer. And then you had the Young Bucks, the EVPs of All Elite Wrestling going at it, the Civil War kind of thing. And it just, at this moment now, it just seems like, I feel like they're just going to paint it dead. They're going to paint it dead. They're going to be like, all right, let's just hit this reboot button and hope that fans don't really take too much consideration inside basically all, the storyline that they tried building up, which was terrible. I thought it was, for me, I didn't like it. I did not like the storyline because, you made the EVPs look so strong from the beginning. Okada winning the Continental Championship, Jack Perry winning, and then then you had them lose key. They did win. I think it was in Las Vegas when they're in Anarchy in the Arena, and then you had them lose again, in the Blood and Guts match, and then it just, I don't know, it just didn't necessarily seem like they were. I don't know. It didn't seem like this storyline was kind of going strong. It felt like, there was like lose, lose, lose. The only way we can win is if we come together and just cause demolition all over Dynamite, or attack, Tony Khan and have him wear a neck brace, or or disrespect Christopher Daniels. And it was like, and now you have everything happening with this Jon Moxley faction where people are looking at the EVPs as like these total, they were total bad guys. They were total heels. They're like people every single time you tune into AEW Dynamite, you're like, oh, these corporate jerks, of course, sticking it to the little guy, because they have this, they have this privilege and stuff like that. And now with Jon Moxley kind of doing his thing, you kind of look at these guys, you're like, dude, honestly, these guys are like little kids at a schoolyard. You know what I mean? They don't really like like if it's a pickup game of basketball, they come up and like, yeah, we challenge you, and you're like, dude, like those come all the badass guys over there. Like, I'm just kidding. No, but like, I don't know. I just, right now it just seemed like it doesn't really work. I gotta be honest, I loved how they congratulated, Private Party after the match. I loved it. I thought it was great. Great show of sportsmanship. A great show of, kind of taking it outside of kayfabe a little bit and being like, you know what? Because Private Party has been around AEW for so damn long. So damn long. They should have had a tag team title run freaking years ago. And now they finally get it. And I feel like the Young Bucks are kind of like, they kind of patted them on the back there. They're like, all right, now let's, I feel like they ultimately want to make things right because it was, there was an article that I read and it was reported that the Young Bucks didn't necessarily like this storyline of, them teaming up with Jack Perry and Okada and becoming these total jerks and stuff like that, these sort of arsons and stuff like that. And, they didn't like it. So when you're kind of stuck in this storyline that you don't like, you're not really going to, be excited, in terms of the promos and stuff like that. You're going to kind of show your hands there. Like, what I mean? Sometimes you can literally see behind someone's facade. You can see behind someone's face. And although they might be like acting or faking it, that's what ultimately makes wrestling awesome, is that they can keep this kayfabe, they can keep this acting, the choreography and stuff like that going. And, sometimes, as wrestling fans, and I've seen it my whole life, sometimes you can see through the superstar and you're like, dude, they look kind of uncomfortable there. Kind of like how Bayley was when she destroyed the Bayley Buddies and became a heel at first. I got to be honest, she wasn't cutting good promos. She was terrible on the mic. And, I got to be honest, I was like, I kind of got not embarrassed, but I was kind of like, oh, God, like, I don't know. You just get the heebity jibbities and you're like, oh, it just doesn't really seem like that's working. But eventually it did work out when she created Damage Control. And maybe that's maybe that's what it took. But obviously right now, if you're the Young Bucks, hitting the restart button might be the best way to go about it. Taking a hiatus, and then you're going to have Kenny Omega, return, maybe, be a little successful on AEW Dynamite. And then, randomly you'll have the Young Bucks. If you want to keep them heels, to attack Omega and be like, all right, like, so then let's restart this all over again. So, I don't know. It should be interesting to find out what's going to go on. All right, guys, we're going to talk about Chris Bey of ABC, obviously from TNA. A terrible, absolutely horrific landing. Obviously, thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to him and his family. Obviously, hope nothing but the best. Wish him a speedy recovery. We're going to talk about Chris Bey's neck injury when we return. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside the rings, backstage curtain calls, and rumors. We also talk about superstar injury updates, inactive statuses. We talked about contract negotiations, signings, and negotiations. We talk about promotions from WWE to AEW, to TNA, to the GCW, to the Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, Stardom, if it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling. We talk about it here on this show and just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Smackdown preview. Then we talked about some TNA, Ring of Honor. And then we talked about AEW Dynamite's Fright Night, which was pretty badass. And now we're going to talk about Chris Bey's neck injury. So, recently you saw on the spot on TNA, in a taping in Detroit, Michigan, you saw, Chris Bey taking, a nasty fall. Immediately, you kind of saw, TNA personnel like hover around him, put the neck brace on. And, at that point, fans were kind of like, this is, this is serious. And every single time a neck injury happens in terms of the world of professional wrestling, you kind of just sit there in the crowd with like the hair standing on the back of your neck. Because, at the end of the day, this is ultimately a show. This is a show. These guys are entertainers. They're athletes. They're husbands. They're sons. They're fathers. They're brothers. And it's nerve wracking when you see an injury like this. It's not good. It's not good. And even you saw reactions from crowds and the fans, and it was just quiet, obviously. And if you've ever kind of watched a lot of Chris Bey's, interviews with TNA, and also with wrestling news media and stuff like that. This guy was all about, promoting yourself. This guy is all about going out there and making a difference. Hey, you wake up every day in the morning with air in your lungs. Thank God, give the glory to God, and then go out there and make a freaking difference. Make something of yourself, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who don't get that extra breath when they wake up. There's people who are born with intellectual disabilities or mental disabilities, and they don't get to. So basically, don't waste the life that God gave you. Don't waste a chance to make a name for yourself, and definitely don't sell yourself short based on fears of not making it. I'd rather go out there and try to do something and then ultimately, be said no to, or, or sometimes you do fail. Sometimes you do. No, not sometimes. You will fail. You will fail in life. That's just how life goes. But then at the end of the day, the thing that truly defines the character and who you are is, your grit, is the way you pick yourself back up, dust off your knees, dust off your pants, and you're ready to go again. And obviously, you have certain motivations like that. And that's something that, Chris Bey, every single time on social media, he would, give posts to. The ultimately, the thing that motivated him was the way he wanted to motivate other people in terms of having people go out there and, try to achieve your greatness, try to be the greatest version of yourself. And, so then taking that in consideration, I'm like, damn, it's crazy how this guy got injured. Thank the Lord in heaven that this guy isn't going to wind up paralyzed. But although, he did say that he did say, and it's been reported that it's going to be a long, long journey. In terms of a neck injury, it's never easy. It's never easy. Look what happened to Edge. He had to say goodbye to professional wrestling. Look at Daniel Bryan, who eventually, they got surgery and was able to, pick themselves back up. Look at Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode was he was kicking ass on WWE. Then he kind of went down as not a jobber, but then again, he got hurt, and you kind of see him backstage sometimes wearing a fancy suit. And I'm like, dude, look, it's Bobby Roode. So, and then, of course, Braun Strowman had neck fusion surgery. Eric from the Viking Raiders, or the War Raiders now, he also had surgery. You've had, horrific neck injuries, for example, like, who's that guy? Damn it. Droz, where he went, he's a full paraplegic where he can't feel anything from the neck down. And oh God, that's a hell of a life to live right there. That's a hell of a life. Just imagine, living the best world, being a professional wrestling, establishing and living your dream, jumping off the top rope and just like, having fans admire you. And then to the point where like just a misstep, just a simple misstep. And then you're laying down, you can't move a muscle. And then, then you're starting to contemplate like, hey, will I ever walk again? Will I ever be able to drive? Will I be able to, walk up to my significant other or my spouse and give them a hug and a kiss? Or will I be able to, walk my kids down the aisle when they get married? It's a lot of thoughts that run through people's brain once when the ultimate, the ultimate crap thing happens. And you're just like, damn. You don't want to take things for granted here in life, ladies and gentlemen. So, I don't know. Chris Bey issued a statement. He said, and I quote, I extend my heartfelt thanks and the deepest appreciations, for so much from everyone of TNA Wrestling to the incredible medical staff here in Detroit, to family, friends, and fans worldwide. It will be a long, challenging journey ahead. Please keep the prayers coming, and the prayers are indeed coming my way. Definitely sending prayers to Chris Bey. He's already undergone surgery. He had a emergency medical surgery that night. His partner Ace Austin of ABC shared an update saying that Chris Bey has begun his rehabilitation. On Sunday. He's doing daily rehab sessions under the direction of specialists. It's showing daily improvements, which is great. Thank God. Thank God he's showing daily improvements. He's one step closer to being, being happy because everybody knows like whenever you like break a leg or like when you have some kind of medical issue going on, first and foremost, you can reach out to God and um, also you get not. I don't want to say sad. I don't want to say sad because you start to appreciate once when your health declines or once when, you're kind of stuck in this, state where you're not being able to be where you're not being able to do the things you want to do, I guess. I don't know if that sounds, weird to say or whatever. Like just a little sidetrack note. I work as a chef at a senior living facility. And then sometimes I talk to the residents and sometimes, some of them do, they do have Parkinson's, they have dementia and memory loss. And, they're trying to remember what they like to eat, drink and stuff like that. Obviously, as in the kitchen, we all have we all know exactly what they like, and we know if they're, low blood sugar, we know if they're, diabetic, we know if they're low sodium, if they're gluten free, lactose intolerant. Obviously, we know all that. But then sometimes, they like to, they feel satisfaction of knowing that they can think of that themselves, knowing that, they're able to, pick up a spoon and eat regularly, but then some people are, they're just so shaky, they can't even do that. They can't even, then they're forced to like, and you have, people who can't even, have basic motor functions and, they can't even swallow where they have, like you have puree and you have, caregivers like feeding them and stuff like that. And then, sometimes it's tough. It's tough to see how these people, these amazing people once were just doing things on their own. Most of the time when people do go to a, assisted living facility, people have the common misconception that it's like, oh, it's just a jail for old people. And that's not true. That's not true. We watch after their diet plans. We make sure we, correctly regulate their medicine and stuff like that. We make sure that they're cared about around the clock 24/7 with care staff and med techs and, an on-staff nurse and a daily, podiatrist, routine appointments and stuff like that. So it's just, I don't know. It's just, like I said, a side note, but like, obviously you kind of don't realize what you have until it's gone. So, Chris Bey was definitely one of those people, even before this happened, that he always, he took life by the horns, and he was, like I said, he wants, every single day you wake up with air in your lungs, be happy, be happy, and although some stuff might not be happening in your way. Maybe you have maybe you have a crappy job, or you're not making, ends meet, or you're living paycheck to paycheck. at the end of the day, if you can go out there and do something about it, then by all means, like, just put a smile on your face and just know that, the work you put in here in life, life is not a rehearsal. Life, you don't get to wake up one day and, be 14 years old again and be like, oh, I learned so damn much, so I can do it right. Life is a learning process, obviously, 1010%. So I don't know. It's just his philosophy, stuff like that. Like, it's so crazy. I started researching this earlier today, and I got to be honest. What he said to me, or what he said see, I'm already saying what he said to me, like what he said in terms of his interviews, like already, it speaks to me. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, damn, like, it's I don't know, maybe definitely wants to motivate you more. Definitely wants to, step up your game a little bit more. And good things come to those who put in the work, guys. At the end of the day, you in terms of life, you receive what you ultimately put in. And by all means, and sometimes it's not easy, and sometimes people don't get that. And it's but then I don't know, at the end of the day, it's just it's tough. It's tough. It's life. It's life, ladies and gentlemen. It's life. When you think you have a plan, at the end of the day, then something crazy happens and you're like, well, shoot. I mean, I just got to keep kicking. Got to keep kicking. Got to keep rolling. Family members, close friends, and TNA personnel, as well as wrestlers on the roster, are constantly by his side. Bay's first match was on TNA Explosion against Ace Austin. Ace Austin said, and I quote, "He was gracious, he was selfless, he was willing, and he was an incredible talent." He immediately became a challenger for the X Division Championship. They were rivals before they were partners. That was, that's pretty badass. ABC's accomplishments: they won an Ultimate X match against Motor City Machine Guns at the 2023 TNA Rebellion. They also won a three-team Full Metal Mayhem match at Bound for Glory recently. They had 3 reigns as TNA World Tag Team Champs. Tag team of the year in 2023, ranked number 6 in PW Insider top 10 tag teams, and the second place in the New Japan Professional Wrestling Junior Tag Team League. So that was that's pretty badass. TNA has been a very, like, diamond in the rough, so to speak. Like, they have a bunch of young talents who could literally, they can be headliners. They could be main eventers or high mid carders in the world of WWE. They could definitely be in the main event of an AEW and stuff like that. TNA has been absolutely one of the most respectable companies in terms of wrestling within recent years. TNA is covering all the medical costs for Chris Bey. There's a GoFundMe page. It's as of this morning, it reached up to $85,000. And obviously, it's going to be a long journey. Obviously, if you're not wrestling inside the ring, I doubt TNA will, let this guy, go poor, I guess, so to speak. They're going to take care of him. They're going to take care of him. He was one of the top guys. He is still the top guy. Although he might not be wrestling, he's, thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to him. His family definitely, wish him a speedy recovery. Go hit up that GoFundMe page and make sure you guys, donate to an amazing man. Matt Hardy on his podcast, he talked to Chris Bey, and Chris Bey was like, you know what? It was a freak accident. It was a freak accident. Stuff happens inside the ring. Nothing outrageous, nothing outlandish. It was just something's happened. Something's happened. Sometimes you wake up and be like, no, that'll never happen to me. But then, bam, sometimes it does. And another injury happened actually at that same taping. We had El Hijo del Vikingo land on his leg, and I think he had a horrific leg injury, and he actually had to be stretchered off as well. In his match. So 2 injuries that kind of happened on the same night, but obviously hope both of them have a speedy recovery. Hope, obviously, I don't want to be like, I don't, what's the word? I'm great. No, that's not greedy. No, is that greedy? That I'm like, oh, I want to see these guys back in the ring again. Obviously, it's going to take more than, them having the courage to get back into the ring. There's obviously got to be a lot of considerations of, hey, should I get back in the ring? Like, you know what I mean? But, I definitely hope that these guys, at the end of the day, get back to full health. They're happy. If they decide to come back to wrestling, that's cool. Would love that. If they don't, just know that they paid dividends and that they made a mark in TNA wrestling and in the world of professional wrestling. So definitely gotta throw some flowers there. Like I said, thoughts and prayers and to these two men, speedy recovery. So yeah, hope you guys stay blessed. All right, we are our fifth and final segment. I got 10 minutes until the GSMC Soccer Podcast with my man Emran. So make sure you guys stick around for that. And we're going to talk about WWE Crown Jewel predictions. I probably should have had this in my fourth or third segment because I kind of want to go over 10. This is it's like a 20-25 minute segment. But let's see if we can crash it down, ladies and gentlemen, to 10 minutes. Damn it, now 9 minutes. Let's get going. I'll be right back. All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling with your favorite wrestling fan. So make sure you guys tune in. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors, and drama. We also talk about WWE, AEW. We talk about all the superstars in the world of professional wrestling. Sometimes their inactive statuses, their injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings on different promotions. So we talk about that. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick, we had our WWE Smackdown preview. We also talked about our the TNA and Ring of Honor. We have our Thursday Night Wrestling review. We also talked about AEW Dynamite Fright Night. We talked about Chris Bey and his neck injury, and then we are also going to talk about in our fifth and final segment. Usually I give you guys my Friday wrestling news roundup, but just a lot of stuff to talk about in terms of wrestling, so now we're going to talk about some WWE Crown Jewel predictions, and we got about like 6-7 minutes. So let's see if we can go ahead and stretch this out. First and foremost, we're going to have our WWE Crown Jewel Championship match. I kind of hated how they worded that, you know what I mean? Like, I get it, and I think it's cool how you have this World Crown Jewel Championship, because it seems like I kind of advocated in the in podcast over the the recent months, talking about how when WWE goes to Glasgow, Scotland, or France, Backlash in France, or Crown Jewel, it's I don't know, it just it doesn't really project a lot of, like, it's like, what does it do to the storyline? Like, most of the time, it doesn't really touch it. And to be fair, WWE doesn't really do that, unless it's like the big four, like SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, or WrestleMania. Obviously, WrestleMania. So, not hating on the PLEs that they have in, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. But I don't know, it just seems like they kind of take it a little less seriously, but that's just my opinion, 1,010%. So we have that Crown Jewel Championship that's being carried around like it's a weapon of mass destruction in a briefcase, carried by two men, whopping two men. So that's pretty crazy. That's pretty, it's cool, it's cool. I like it, I guess, But overall, I feel like it doesn't really matter. We have the champion versus championship match. We have the WWE Champion Cody Rhodes taking on the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. Speculations, like I was talking about earlier, if you guys were watching when I was talking about SmackDown, is Bill Goldberg going to find a way to screw Gunther in this match? Is he going to find a way to kind of screw it to have them, have a match at WWE Survivor Series? I sure as hell do not hope because you recently saw Dominic Mysterio defeat Damian Priest for a shot at the belt. So I think that would be be more of a better it would be a better storyline than him against Goldberg there. Uh Cody Rhodes, I feel like he really has no direction in his storyline right now. Obviously, everything that's going down with his friendship with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Obviously, no ties to the Bloodline as of tonight. But obviously, I have not watched SmackDown, so maybe that changed. But I think Cody comes out the winner on this one. For me, it makes no sense to have Gunther win. Um, well, maybe and it's my prediction. I think Cody wins. I think Cody wins this belt, and I think it kind of creates animosity between the two brands a little bit. Maybe heading toward like a Survivor Series match or something like that. Maybe, but that I don't know if that would really be like pragmatic or practical or realistic. So I don't know. I feel like it. I don't know. That's maybe it's the reason. Maybe this is the reason why I'm not so hot about this Crown Jewel championship is because I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. It's cool that these two are going against each other. Like I get it. That's badass. But champion versus champion, I guess, to make it sound cool, to make it seem prestigious, to make people care about it maybe a little bit more, you have that, the whole Crown Jewel Championship. Nia Jax taking on Liv Morgan. We're going to see a Money in the Bank cash in tonight or tomorrow night in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. But I just don't know who's going to do it. I was talking. It makes sense that Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton cashes in on Nia Jax, but then you have Rhea Ripley, the Eradicator, being injured, and it's going to be written off for months. She's not going to come back expected to the Royal Rumble. So it's possible that Tiffany Stratton becomes the face of Monday Night Raw, dethrones Liv Morgan. But then with, Raquel Rodriguez coming back into the fray, and Liv Morgan having this dominating status because of her new muscle. And of course, as a member of the Judgment Day, I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. Maybe if they debuted Raquel Rodriguez maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, maybe I might see something shocking happen. But Nia Jax has just been pushing Tiffany Stratton. She grabbed her by the throat. She's been absolutely disrespecting her. Tiffany Stratton wants to get out of that shadow and defeat Nia Jax. And if this Money in the Bank cash-in is unsuccessful, I got to be honest, it's going to be one of the biggest mistakes that WWE has ever made. So, in this promotion with Tiffany Stratton, I definitely think, you're going to see her cashing into whoever wins. For my opinion, doesn't really matter. I know that sounds a little bit rude, but I don't know. I just, because what's going to happen after the match is, you're going to see, I think Nia Jax wins. After the match, you'll see Raquel Rodriguez and Dominic Mysterio maybe, rough up Nia Jax. And, Nia Jax is crawling toward the corner, with her face down. She's like, Tiffy time, help me. And that's when Tiffany Stratton grabs the briefcase, beats the holy hell out of her, and is like, I'm the main person now. And then she cashes in and then she wins. Roman Reigns and the Usos taking on the Bloodline. This match is going to be good. This match will probably, in my opinion, should be the main event. Will Sami Zayn come out? Will Sami Zayn come out and prove his worthiness to Roman Reigns and the Usos? Or will he take what Jey said will he take it to heart what he said on Monday Night Raw about him not being in the family and turn his back? Seth Rollins taking on Bronson Reed. This is a huge match. I got to be honest. Both of these superstars need this win. Bronson Reed especially. He's established himself as a single superstar. Seth Rollins, recently coming back from injury to get back into that World Heavyweight title, kind of box there, kind of that little getting back into that window. He needs to win tomorrow night. Randy Orton taking on Kevin Owens. I see Kevin Owens winning. Having all this, Triple H Paul Levesque came out, told Randy, he was like, oh, you don't want to mess with Kevin Owens. So it makes no sense if Randy Orton wins. United States Championship, LA Knight, Andrade, Carmelo Hayes. You got to either have LA Knight go heel, or you have to have Andrade win. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, I kind of talked about this earlier today. I feel like Jade and Bianca should retain, but of course, in terms of losing the titles in a Fatal 4-Way Triple Threat match, it just makes sense Just makes sense. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here, the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. So you remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, and make sure you guys tune into the other podcasters. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys had an amazing Halloween week, had an amazing Friday. Have a great weekend. You stay beautiful, but most importantly, love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't